What's going on, guys? We're here to break down this weekend's UFC 284 card coming to you from Australia, man. Two title fights. Uh, for the first one in the co-main event, we got Jasmine versus Rodriguez going for the interim featherweight strap, and then in the co-main event, in the main event, we got number one pound for pound versus number two pound for pound, and Islam Makhachev. Uh, he's going to be taking on Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski going up in weight. The challenge for that 155 strap. Going to be a loaded card from top to bottom. Really fun fight all the way through. Looking forward to this one, man. What you think about it, Zach?
Yeah, man, you said it all right there. Before we do start, we gave y'all the parlay last week, got y'all some money. All we do is we're not charging anything for it. All you got to do is subscribe to our channel, like the video, and comment. But with that being
Yeah.
said, let's get right into it. So, first fight we have 145 prelim fight. Yeah, I'm gonna just say his first name because I always butcher his last name. Zabara versus Elvis Brenner. What do we have on this one?
I'm going with Jabara and a one-sided decision victory. Stand-up is going to be the difference for me. Good stand-up, like I already mentioned. Um, Good stand up, like I already mentioned, man. He's a really good counter puncher as well, and got good grappling if he needs to. But he's just a well-rounded fighter. I've seen him really having his way on his feet. Like I said, picking his opponent apart, catching him coming in with counter shots. If he needs it, he's got some decent grappling as well. I just see him winning a one-sided decision right here in this fight to kick off the card.
Yeah, I mean Zabira, that's Khabib's boy, trains at AKA, so he got striking as well. But his wrestling is really his bread and butter. And then he's fighting a guy making his UFC debut. I want to say Brenner took this on short notice. But yeah, Brenner is a guy from Shootbox, and guys from Shootbox, you always got to know, even if it's on short notice, they're coming in with the conditioning, they're coming in with the pressure. But with that being said, full camp, I think Zabire kind of, he's able to take the guy down, stay out of submissions, and Brenner striking really, we say shoebox, but his striking really ain't, what I'm saying, up to par what I
Yeah.
think Zabire is. So, yeah, I think Zabire is a lock on this fight.
So do I. And I think, after this fight, if the UFC wants to give Brenner a chance, I think he's got a chance to to do some decent things in the organization. Just right now, you know, taking this fight on short notice again, having your debut fight against a guy like Zubara on short notice, just gonna be a little too much for him, man. So I'm going with Zubara, like I said, on one sided decision.
No doubt. Moving up the card, we got Blake Builder versus Shane Young.
Um, I think this fight could be somewhat tricky here for some people. That's why I put somewhat tricky here in my notes. Uh, just because you got Blake Builder, he's somewhat of a slow starter. You got Shane Young, known for his striking, but he's got wrestling experience, and you got Blake Builder, known for his ground game, uh, but started in boxing. Got his start in boxing. But I'm going with Blake Builder by decision or submission. His ground game is gonna be the difference for me. I just think, Builder's the prospect here. Uh, Shane Young's had some problems. I just lean into it. I'm confident in Builder in this, either by decision or submission.
Yeah, this was a tricky fight for me because, man, sometimes these guys off the contender series, they don't deliver, and sometimes they really shine. And this is a hard one because when you see these contender series guys go against these vets, man, the vets usually win. But
Yeah,
with that being said, the vets that usually win are usually active. Young really isn't that active, man. He hasn't been fighting a lot. And I think Builder can get this fight to the ground, keep it there. Young's a vet, so I don't know if he can get a finish, but yeah, I see Builder, getting the W on the ground.
yeah. I think we see this fight playing out pretty similar. You know, like I said, the submission is not a lot for me, but it is somewhat of a tricky fight. We both see Builders ground game being a difference, and but mostly, like you said, Young's is better against the Goshen of the contender series, so it could get a little interesting. But I'm pretty confident in Builder in this.
No doubt. Moving up the card, we got strawweight women's division fight, Loma Lugbomi versus Elise Reed.
Very good on the pronunciation. Uh, I'm going with Lumalung Bowie. Did I say that right? Very good. Lumalung Bowie by decision. I see her having her way in this fight, and especially in the and uh, especially in the striking department. I see her picking apart at least Reed on the feet. She could get it to the ground if she needs to, but I don't think she'll need to get it to the ground. Like I said, if she needs to, she definitely can. But I see her picking apart at least Reed on the feet and getting a decision victory.
No doubt. Yeah, I think Lugbomi is a girl that we're gonna see climb up the ranks for her next couple fights. She's the real deal. When it comes to stand up, I don't know too many girls in that division that can keep up with her. She has a lot of Thai fights, and you see a lot of Muay Thai fights, especially from Thailand, like back in the day. They try to make that transition to MMA, and they just couldn't quite keep up with the wrestling. This girl is utilizing her Thai clinch to get takedowns, to defend takedowns, and it's pretty awesome to see that. Elise Reed path to victory is gonna have to get Lugbomi on the ground. Lugbomi sometimes on the ground when it comes to like jujitsu positions, she kind of gets lost, and that's where Elise Reed would have to get it. But I just don't see Reed getting it there. I see Lugbomi, possibly getting a finish standing up. Reed's tough, but I think Lugumi's coming into her own where she's getting that experience in, and I think she's getting super comfortable with her striking when it comes to MMA.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with everything you said. I'm not gonna quite go um for the finish, but if she would finish her, it wouldn't shock me. You know, um, like you said, Elise Reed needs to get it to the ground. If she gets to the ground, she have a chance. But I just see Lung Movement just having her on the feet, and the thing about her, you mentioned her multi-series, but like I said too, now I don't think she'll need it in this fight, but I wanted to mention this for down the road. She's got a decent ground game as well, so she's not a one-dimensional fighter, and uh, and that's what makes her fighter dangerous when they can adapt and when to fight multiple ways. So look up for that name in the future. You know.
All right, moving up the card, we have Jack Jenkins versus Don Shanis. What we got on this fight?
Uh, I'm going with Jack Jenkins by KO. I see his striking being the difference, but he's got a good ground game with really good ground and pound to go with it. Jack Jenkins is another guy from the Australian region, uh, coming off the contender series. If you're able to watch him in his contender series fight, everybody was ranting and raving on the striking, rightfully so. He's a very good striker, very fun to watch. Uh, puts his combination together really well. But in his contender series fight, man, he took his opponent down at will and just really beat him up. Forced the referee to step in and stop him, man. It was a one-sided fight. Uh, Jack Jenkins showed that he's not a one-dimensional fighter. Uh, I see him having his weight, man, and I could get it done on the feet, but definitely could take him down, land some good ground upon him. Well, I don't know how he's gonna get the stoppage, but I see him getting a stoppage right here in this fight.
Yeah, man. Jack Jenkins is one of these guys where you think all he is a striker and then switches it up and could take you down. And that's really, really beneficial for a striker because once you get a guy going striking, that opens up the hips. You can get takedowns at will, like he showed in his contender series fight. Shanis, he had a tough debut fighting Sadiq Youssef on short notice. I mean, it's hard to tell like how good he is taking that on short notice, getting stopped early. But another thing with Shanis, he was part of the James Krause camp. he's had to move back home, train around different gyms, stuff like that. So, this is, like we said on the last fight, contender series versus a vet. This is how you should build a contender series guy. Give him a guy like Shayna's to get into the UFC, right? Don't fight a guy like
Yeah,
Shane Young with like five. If it works out, it works out. That's even better. But this contender series fight debut makes more sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Because Shane Young, absolutely. Shane Young's got, you know, he hadn't had the best UFC career, but he's got a lot of UFC fights under his belt, man.
Exactly.
And he's been around the block. So
And
I agree.
maybe the UFC kind of sees like who they can throw in the fire if they're iffy on them and who they really want to build up. You know what I'm saying? I think Jenkins is a guy they really want to build up.
Yeah.
Hence
But
being in Australia, you know what I'm saying?
Jenkins to me, now don't get me wrong, he hasn't made his official UFC debut yet. But from what I've seen from him in the past, Jenkins has got real potential on making noise in the UFC. I'm excited to
Absolutely.
see what he can do.
All right, moving up the card, we got Jamie Malarkey versus Francisco Prado.
I'm going. I don't see this fight going to distance. I'm going with Jamie Malott by KO. Both guys have legit power with a chance to win, but uh, Pedro making his UFC. Malarkey uh, has a lot of has experience in the UFC, and his reach is going to be a big factor for me in this fight. Um, I'm going with Malarkey by KO.
Yeah, we have a undefeated prospect, 11-0. Anytime you see a guy 11-0, you got to check the records. What kind of guys have they been fighting? And when you look at the 11-0, the guy's been fighting in Argentina. Argentina isn't the biggest when it comes to MMA. So he hasn't been fighting the best guys. And he's been getting in and out early, in and out early. Anytime you get in and out early, you're not getting that experience that you need to get in before you get to a big show like the UFC. And then you're fighting a guy like Malarkey, man. He's, split decision win over Michael Johnson. He's in the trenches with power punches. Prado looks to get finishes early. Malarkey doesn't mind being in there all 3 rounds. And I think that's what's going to make the difference is the experience level and just being calm under pressure. His first time Prado being under lights in the UFC in a guy's hometown. I'm going with Malarkey on here.
Yeah, I agree 100%. 100%.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, moving up the card, we have Clayson Rodriguez versus Shannon Ross.
This one right here, we talk about matchmakers and matching prospects with experienced guys and all that stuff. This fight right here kind of threw me for a loop. Uh, you got Keisha, Keisha Rodriguez versus Shannon Ross. Uh, you got Shannon Ross coming off a loss in his contender series fight. Uh, fighting uh, fighting Rodriguez. You don't see that often, man. A guy coming off a loss in his contender series fight and gets called up. I know he's a replacement, I'm sure, but it's still unique, uh, unique circumstances. With that being said, I'm going with Rodriguez by KO. His stand up is a difference for me, and I just see him having his way against Shannon Ross. You know, um, that's pretty much it for me on this
Yeah,
one.
Rodriguez is a guy like I don't see honestly, I don't see in any aspect of MMA how he loses this fight. Um, I don't know if this was a short notice fight or what for Ross, but I don't know. Rodriguez to me, I see him being dominant, standing up, dominant on the ground. He had a split decision, lost to CJ Vigora. Vigora hasn't had the best record in the UFC, but being 3 rounds in the UFC already and having finishes on your record, I think Rodriguez is good for a finish in this fight for sure. And Ross, fighting in his hometown, he's gonna come out not like how he usually would come out. Like a lot of these Australian guys are gonna come out swinging for the fences, hype the fuck up to be in their hometown fighting. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's gonna play against him as well.
Yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
Rodriguez for sure. Could he stop him? definitely.
Yeah.
All right, moving up the card, we got Joshua Kalibau versus Melsick. Not even gonna try it. You want to try it?
Melsick, but Kazarian.
There you go. What you got on this fight?
Hey, I tried, man. Ain't perfect. Oh, fun fight right here, man. Looking forward to this. Striking headed matchup could go either way. This was a tricky fight for me, and like I said, I can see this one going either way. But I'm going with Kaliba by decision. He's got more experience and has fought better opposition as well. I see both guys having their moments on their feet, but Kaliba edging out a close decision. But uh, but like I said, really tough fight to pick. To me, that this was a coin flip right here. But I'm leaning towards Kaliba in this fight.
Yeah, Kalibau showed he could take it and give it. Um, the only thing, man, I know Kalibau's fought better opposition, been way more rounds than Melsick in the UFC, but you got to look at Melsick's background before he got into UFC, pro kickboxing experience, pro boxing experience. And if we're looking at what's probably going to be a stand-up fight, I think Melsick, gets the better of him. Kalibau would have to make this an MMA fight to win, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, I think I'm going with Kaliba, but I can see argument as well. You
No
know.
doubt, no doubt. I could see it being a split decision though, like, a gritty fight for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Tyson Pedro versus Modestas Bukauskas.
I'm going with Tyson Pedro by KO. Um, but Kauskas coming back from the UFC after being cut. He's had a history of getting stopped in the UFC as well, and he's taking this fight on short notice, man. Um, I just see that being too much, and I see Tyson Pedro just catching him one of those big shots, man, and turning out his lights. I'm gonna go with Pedro by KO.
No doubt. Yeah, Pedro he started off more of a ground guy, and now you've seen, him get stand-up victories. But if you look at the stand-up victories, it's not against, guys that are even in the UFC anymore. So he's getting Modestas. I seen Modestas fight in his last fight in Cage Furies or Cage Warrior. And I mean, Modestas looked way better. He looked way more calmer and was able to get that guy out pretty early. So Modestas has been doing his thing out in the regional. But every time he tends to take that step up in competition, man, I don't know if it's mental or what, but he just doesn't look like how he looks in the regional scene or like his debut UFC fight. And I think a guy like Pedro is tricky because he took so much time off and he hasn't fought the best competition lately. But I think this is going to be a real good test to see where Pedro's skill is because Modestas is really hard to take down. And Pedro is more of a, a guy who's going to sub you, take you down, ground and pound you. And we'll see if that new and improved striking can hold up with a guy like, Modestas who has striking as well. But yeah, I think Pedro gets the better of him. I don't know if he'll stop him, but definitely got Pedro.
Yeah. So, but you don't know if he'll stop.
Nah, I think most Modestus is like leveled up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Experience outside the UFC, and I think Pedro. We got to see him. It's cool if you're doing this to guys 0-3, 0-4. You're stopping them with strikes, but I need to see you do that versus a real striker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, he definitely gets to level up this weekend, so we'll see.
Yep, yep. All right, moving up the card, another tough fight to call: Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. My fault, my
Uh,
fault. Jimmy Crute versus
okay.
Alonzo Menifel. Yeah, I passed up the first main card fight.
Yeah. I was like, okay, hold on. But yeah, Jimmy Crook versus Alonzo Menafield. I don't see this one going to this is either both guys have a legitimate chance to win. I'm going with Alonzo Menafield though. He's got the momentum right now. Uh, with legitimate KO power, and I think he has a better ground game as well. Uh, both guys have legitimate power with a chance to win, but I'm leaning towards Minifield. My heart says Jimmy Crute, but like I said, Minifield's got the momentum. He's got good power to go along with to me, a better ground game. I really think he's got the better ground game, and I see him getting a stoppage. But Crute, don't slip on Crute either, man. I mean, he can fight. So this one could go either way, but I'm going with Minnesota.
Yeah, Jimmy Crute probably one of the better ground games in that 205 division. A lot of people when they see 205 division ground game, they think of Paul Craig. Paul Craig, dude, Jimmy Crute dominated Paul Craig on the ground. That shows you how high of a level he is on the ground. But with that being said, his takedowns aren't the best. And when you look at a guy like Manifield, a physical guy, tends to give a guy who's good at jiu-jitsu without dominant wrestling problems. And I like that Manifield switched his camp up. He has one coach now. Before he was out of camp, who a big camp that you don't get that one-on-one attention, right? He's now working with Pat Barry. Pat Barry was a striker who had to work takedown defense, so he knows the route to beat a guy like Jimmy Crute. So I think Minifield stuffs takedown, stays patient, stays within himself, and gets the finish right here.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, moving up the card. Another tough fight to call. Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter, heavyweight division.
Like Zach said, another tough fight to call. But I'm gonna go with Justice Hava by KO. I see him catching Porter in this fight and getting the finish. But if Porter can use his wrestling and get it to the ground, he'll definitely have a chance. Um, Porter to me is more well rounded. He'll have more ways to win, but he's not the smoothest um, wrestler, and he's definitely uh, not the best striker. You know, he comes in with his head high. You know, he just makes fundamental mistakes on his feet. Um, and yeah, so he's got a few more tools in his arsenal, but even his wrestling is not the best in my opinion. But like I said, if he can get it to the ground, he'll have a chance. I just see Tava catching him on the feet and getting the finish.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. The only problem I have with Tafa, he's so damn inconsistent. You know, some of his fights, he's getting a knockout. He lives up to the hype where if he lands one punch, it's over with. And then other times he's not pulling the trigger. He's worried about the takedown. He's worried about other things rather than letting his hands go. And a guy like Parker Porter isn't the best heavyweight division. He's not too good at one thing, but he's well rounded enough to where if you're just a striker, he knows that he has to get, to the ground. And he got more ways to win here. Won't surprise me if Tafa, if this is his, coming out party and really lets people know, like, he's still that heavyweight striker, one punch knockout power and can get it done. But I'm just going with the guy who has more ways to win. And the guy who we know where he's at in this division. We don't really know quite where Tafa is in this division yet.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out Saturday. We're gonna have a lot of questions answered with this card on Saturday, man.
Definitely. All right. Another fight I'm excited for, Rainy Brown versus Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah. Really, really, really excited and interested in this fight, man. You got Jake Della Maddalena, while he hasn't fought the best opposition, I mean, he's been running through guys, ripping them in the stand up, vicious body shots. I want to say he's 3-0 in the UFC right now.
Yep, 3-0.
All finishes, all very impressive finishes. And then you got Randy Brown, man. Randy Brown's a tall, lanky fighter who uses distance really well. Uh, you know, like I said, fights at range, man. He's just long. He'll pop you at range. Um, very, very, very tough fight to call here. But I'm going with Magdalena. Like I said, if Randy Brown could you could use his reach and then keep it at range. It can cause real problems for Jack. But I see Jack getting on the inside and not working Randy Brown on the feet. Can either get a stoppage or a decision victory. I'm leaning more towards the decision because Randy Brown is he is a durable guy. But with Jack's power, um, you can't ride off the stoppage victory. But I'm leaning more towards the decision for Jack in this fight. But like I said, if Randy can keep the fight at range, he could cause real problems for Jack. So this fight will be pretty interesting.
Yeah, man. A lot of people are writing off Randy Brown, and I'm not one of them. I mean, the guy got 14 fights in the UFC. That's a lot of experience. I don't think this is gonna be like Jack's last couple fights where he's just running through guys, slicing through them. I think he'll meet a little bit of resistance with Randy Brown, but with that being said, I think, Delalena, he's really that up and coming guy in that 170 division, a striker. Where at 170 we got a lot of wrestlers, so I like seeing that. But yeah, Randy Brown's gonna test the man. He's gonna be a long rangey guy. He's gonna be a harder guy to solve. But I still see Delalena getting the win. I would like to see Delalena get all 3 rounds in. That'd be a good experience. Whereas a guy like Randy Brown, and Randy Brown's coming off 3-fight win streak. His last loss was against Vicente Luque, who Luque is doing damn good in the UFC. So that ain't a bad loss. So like I said, closer fight than what. All right, co-main event action. We have the always exciting Yair Rodriguez facing off with the explosive Josh Emmett.
Yeah, man. In this fight, just me personally, before we break this down, I think this will be fight of the night right here. That's just me. Um, I I see this being a very entertaining, very competitive, close fight. Could go either way. Um, you got Josh Emmett. He's older. You got Yair Rodriguez, younger guy, more in his prime, but Yair's a little bit more. He's a bigger guy, but with that being said, in this fight, I'm gonna go with. I think he's the underdog. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Josh Emmett, man. Um, I'm going with Josh Emmett. Like I said, very close, entertaining fight. Entertaining fight. Josh, um, Josh has fought and beaten better opposition. I think both guys will have their moments on the feet, but I see Josh uh, just being a busier fighter, uh, outworking Rodriguez, and also another thing to keep in mind, Emmett also has solid wrestling to go along with his stand up, and I think his wrestling will give Yair some problems and kind of tilt the fight his way when he wants to take it there. I see Josh, like I said, I see it being a stand up fight, but I see Josh uh, mixing in his wrestling as well and just grinding out a close, tough, uh, tough fought decision victory, man.
Yeah, I'm a Yair Rodriguez fan. Like, that's when there's a card with him on it, I'm gonna tune in for sure. With that being said, like when you're a fan of somebody, you can see holes in their game, and you're kind of not looking to see them match up with certain people. I'm with you on this. It's a tough fight, a tough matchup for both. A hard fight to call, but when I'm looking at Yair's resume, man, you look at when he got into the UFC, right? He won the Ultimate Fighter, won his debut fight, then had a split decision win over Charles Rosa. Charles Rosa is a heavy grappler, right? Keep that in mind. Next, beat Dan Hooker, beat Andre Philly, great wins, but those guys are mostly strikers, right? You get matched up with Bruce Leroy, who could strike and grapple, puts a little pressure on you at the end of the fight, makes it a little difficult. Keep that in mind. Keyword pressure. Knocks out BJ Penn, he was supposed to do that. And then runs into Frank Yeager, who could strike and wrestle. Pressure, wrestle. Right? You got him versus Korean Zombie. he has a tough fight with Korean Zombie, bro. I mean, arguably, you could say he was losing until the last second where he lands a spinning elbow, right? He has a decision win over Jeremy Stevens, who was kind of on his way out the UFC.
Yep.
Fights Max Holloway. Has a very close fight with Max Holloway, but Max Holloway's pressure, and when he starts wrestling, cage wrestling at the end, catches up to Yair. He gets the win. And then the Brian Ortega, he got injured. You know what I'm saying? So he's getting a title shot off of losing to Max and beating Brian, who was injured. Now,
Yep.
looking at Josh Emmett's resume, bro. Split decision versus Calvin Kattar. Could have went either way, right?
Yep.
But versus Calvin Kattar, he is a striker, right? Josh Emmett showed that he can hold his own with a high-level striker like Kattar, who is one of the better boxers in the division, right? Dan Ige, another great striker. Emmett showed that he can get it done. So you're looking at Emmett's resume. He's not fought guys like Yair, but he's fought strikers, right? Yair's gonna bring a whole different level of striking. But when you see Yair's resume, man, he has a tough time dealing with guys who have a good gas tank, gonna be in his face, and are gonna wrestle him a little bit. I feel like this is Emmett's fight to win right here. So I'm gonna go with Emmett decision. We might see a split decision. It's a close fight, but I see
Oh,
Emmett.
very, very good, very close fight. And I want to say this for Yair because I'm going with the Emmett too. But to me, Yair's more explosive. If Yair
Absolutely.
catches you, okay,
Absolutely.
if Yair catches you, Emmett's gonna be in trouble if he catches you. So
I'll say this. Yair is more explosive with kicks, knees, all that, the dynamic strikes.
mhm,
Emmett's
yeah,
more explosive with the punches.
yeah, no, I agree. But Emmett, he's got a few more tools in his game, I find, and I believe that Emmett's gonna be the busier fighter. Like you said, you mentioned his gas tank already. Gonna push you for 5 rounds. Gonna force you to fight. Gonna force you to see how much you want it. Emmett's a veteran. Emmett's got the better resume. He's a veteran. He's been around the block with everybody. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be there, and I think ultimately that's really gonna give him a slight edge. But if Jair Rodriguez wins, I'm not shocked at all. Like I said in the intro to this fight, I believe this is my personal opinion. A very close fight, fun fight, and in my opinion, fight of the night right here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, close fight. Um, Moving along, main event, man. A fight that I feel is going under the radar, man. It's not too often we have pound for pound number one fighting pound for pound number two. We have Volkanovski stepping up in weight to take on the champ Islam Makhachev. Who you have in this fight?
Yeah. And so, uh, two great fighters. Like you just mentioned. You got number one pound for pound and Alexander Volkanovski moving up in weight to fight Islam Makhachev, who who is an absolute stud. Uh, he's number two pound for pound. Islam's coming into his division trying to. I mean, I'm sorry. Volkanovski's coming up to his division trying to take Islam's belt. You can't ask for more than that. Before I give my prediction for this fight, my breakdown for this fight, I always say this: our job on the podcast is to give you our honest opinion and who we think is going to win the fight. But I'm going to go with this. I think Islam's going to win, and I'll tell you why in a second. But my heart wants Volkanovski to win. I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Islam. But if Volkanovski wins, I'm going to be ecstatic. First of all, you don't see this often. A guy that is literally ruling the featherweight division, and Alexander Volkanovski beating the brakes off of everybody, clean house in the division. He don't have to go up. He could stay there at 145 and just continue to pick guys off left and right and be the king. But he's dropping his ball and going up to 55 to fight one of the best fighters in the world to try to become a double champ. You don't see that often. The best want to fight the best, no matter what weight division they are, and that this is great to see. Um, with that being said, I just think Islam's ground game is gonna be the difference. He's a world class grappler. We know where he comes from. He's got the Khabib pedigree, the Dagestani style wrestling and grappling. I think that's the difference. Now, if Alexander Volkanovski can keep it on his feet, neutralize that ground game, stuff those takedowns, he's got a legitimate chance. I'm not writing off Volk in this fight at all, but I just see Islam's ground game being too much for him. Uh, Being a bigger guy, I know Alexander Volkanovski used to be the rugby player, used to be over 200 pounds, but that was before he was a fighter. This is a different sport, different everything right here. But like I said, I'm gonna go with Islam, and if Volk can keep it standing, he's got a chance. I'll go with Islam either late submission or decision victory. Probably a decision victory, but I mean Islam with that ground game, he can pull off a submission. He's always live to pull up that sub, but I'm leaning more towards the decision victory for Islam Makhachev.
No doubt. Yeah, another tough fight for me to pick. I think everybody was big on Islam and kind of not say sleeping on Volk, but you have to understand if you're going for Volk, if you're going for Islam, know that if you're going for Islam, he's definitely going to get the takedown for sure. If you're going for Volk, know that Volk is definitely going to get taken down. That's two things that's definitely going to happen, right? The key in this fight is, can Islam keep Volk down and can Volk get back up, right? The key for Volk is to keep his standing when he gets taken down, get back up, keep the forward pressure on him. A lot of people don't know this, but he actually has a 1-inch reach advantage on Islam. So if he can keep the fight standing up, obviously that's his fight to win right there. A guy like Islam, man, you have to tire him out. He's not gonna get tired of wrestling. That's not the key. You're gonna tire him out by making him uncomfortable, standing up and then shooting, standing up, shooting. Get him tired by that, and you can win those later rounds. I think Islam starts off fast, gets takedowns, and Volk just kind of gets in his groove, and I'm gonna go with Volk, man. I think he gets back up, picks him apart on the feet, and is able to keep his range. Like I said, he's got a reach advantage, and I think Islam, listening to the interviews, listening to the press conferences, Islam is thinking he's saying a lot of bold things, like he's gonna stand up with him, drop him, submit him early. We've seen that,
Yeah. He thinks
Ortega.
he's gonna run through Volk.
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen
Yeah.
Ortega, man, which I feel like Ortega got way better submissions than Islam, right? There's a whole difference with that. Islam is an overwhelming guy, and you're getting so overwhelmed, you leave in openings, right? Ortega is a specialist. If there's no openings, he's gonna create one himself. And he had Volk in trouble plenty of times on the ground, and Volk showed that he could hold his own. And Volk works with high level guys like Craig Jones. He's not gonna see anything he's never seen before. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, the smart pick for sure is Islam, but something is telling me that Volk is gonna win this fight, man. And when I'm seeing him fight Mendez, I'm seeing him fight guys like Darren Elkins. Sure, those guys don't have the wrestling caliber of a guy like Islam, but it's good to see that he's spending maybe 5 to 10 seconds on his back and getting right back up.
You're right, but and trust me, this is we talked about this, off the podcast earlier this week. Yes, Volk did get up against Chad Mendez, and Mendez is a great wrestler.
Right.
But and don't get me wrong, Derek Lewis and Sergey Spivak, they're totally different fights. But I'm gonna just use them because that's the most recent fight we broke down.
Right.
My thing going into the Derek Lewis and Spivak fight was Derek Spivak would take him down and dominate him, which not to my own horn, I'm not being funny, but that's what happened, you know. And you were like, well,
Hence the
Derek,
wheelchair still being there.
yeah, keep the chair, baby. I still got the chair. Uh, but on yeah, but uh, you know, we said, you said Derek gets back up, and I said that, but that's a different style. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? And so kind of the same thing here. You know, yes, Volkanovski does get back up. He's there. He's looking to get back up right away, which is great. But and I'm not saying he can't do it because hell, he might go out there and do it again.
Right.
And if he does, it's gonna be a fight. But I just it's a different caliber, and that's why I'm leaning towards Islam. And I want to say this too before we wrap things up. Uh, Alexander Volkanovski is already a UFC Hall of Famer already. But if he can find a way to win Saturday night and become the third or fourth double champ in UFC history,
Pound for pound best,
and,
bro.
and beat a pound for pound best, and really
One of the
solidify
goats,
himself.
man.
Yeah, really solidify himself as the pound for pound best. You could put him in the Hall of Fame the same night or the next day because
Right.
Alexander. And I'm gonna tell you right now, win, lose, or draw, Alexander Volkanovski coming to fight. I'm so looking forward to this fight. I want Volk to win. My head's telling me Islam, so we'll see. But it's gonna be fun to watch. Tell you that much.
Oh, absolutely. And that is a good point. Totally different style wrestling. A lot of upper body locks. And whenever they get you to the ground, they're taking your wrist. They're taking every body part away from you.
Yeah.
So that is a good point. Still going with Volk though. And we'll see, man. But yeah, we're for the whole card, we damn near we're on the same page except for 3 fights. And those 3 fights we kind of agreed that they were all close fights to go with. So at the end of it, if you've been rocking with us since our first episode, you've been getting money with us for free. We're not charging anything. Before we drop the parlay, just make sure you subscribe. And we're gonna give you a 3-fight parlay, that if you put in your money, you're gonna get what you put in back, right? The first one we have is Zubaira, the first fight. We got him at minus 670, right? A little bit higher than what we would like, but still a solid parlay piece. He's taking on a UFC newcomer. And we definitely see him as a lock. We also have Jack Jenkins at minus 430. Love that pick. And then look Boomy. And we have her at minus 295. Those are 3 solid picks that I think, are locks. Harley thinks a lot. Like I said, you're getting them for free. You're getting the money you put in back. So before we close it out, Harley, you got anything for the viewers?
Oh, like Zach said, man, thank y'all for sticking with us, for continuing to check us out. But please, guys, we don't ask for nothing. Uh, like and subscribe up to the channel. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bet On It MMA. Interact with us there. Drop your comments below. Feel free to interact with us. Whether you agree, disagree, whether you have any questions, we'll get back to you. Tell your mama, your papa, your cousin, your aunt, your uncles, anybody that is even a casual fan of MMA. Like and subscribe up to us. Follow us. We're gonna get you paid, and we're gonna give you all the best analysis we possibly can. And we look forward to doing this again next week.
See y'all then.